Yep, hi all. So I'm just doing a quick video actually just to show you guys how to modify the Nike mags. I get asked this question quite a lot on off my YouTube channel and messages from sort of people because there isn't really much information out there. So I just thought I'd run you guys quickly through what I do. So yes, here you can see a 95% completed shoe that's running the EL lighting. Got nice ELs here, matching ELs in the base. And we've got the matching ELs here. Now you can't really sort of see these ones here quite as well on the camera. We put my finger over the over this, so you can't really see it there. But they are decent. I mean, they're not as bright as the LEDs, these EL panels, but the green does match, or turquoise does match this part here. And say with the light off my camera, it does look sweet, you know. So I'm pleased with those anyway. Okay, so let me just switch it off a minute. Right, cool. Okay, so these particular trainers here, there's the other one. These are 2014 spec, not Nike mags. And I say very, very beautiful trainers. When I originally bought these had these early versions, so they had LEDs in the base, LEDs in the heel, and nothing in here other than a printed Nike logo as part of the strap. What happened maybe about 3 years ago was these ones here stopped working. So they came with a USB socket sort of in here, USB cables, put them on charge, and basically it just packed up. So what I was able to do is underneath the sole, ultimately was one of these. So this is a battery pack, and this is the one here that I didn't repair. And as you can see here, you've actually got a CR2032 battery inside resin, and this is mounted in the bottom here, and obviously all the wiring sort of all links through round the fabric, round the top basically. And I say there was a mini USB and a button to switch it on, which was sort of just in there. And I repaired the other side. And basically managed to break this open, put a new battery in, and then it's fine. But what I decided to do in the last year is I wanted to upgrade everything to EL lighting to get rid of the fairly amateurish LEDs. Obviously, LEDs don't disperse the light very well like EL panels do. I also wanted to upgrade this. I wasn't bothered about this, but I've just started to do this modification here now to make it all work in harmony together. So these are the parts I took out. So what I decided to do first of all is upgrade the strap to ELs. So what I was able to do is go to this company here. So I've got some details here. So on Etsy, it's a seller called Retro Trash Clothing GB, and I was able to buy the Nike logo panels for £16, and I also bought the Half Moon panels for £18. So I've done other videos on this, but ultimately what you need to do is you have to be very, very brave. You have to pull up the insoles here, pull up the piece of cardboard underneath it, just cut it out as neat as you can to get access to all the wiring. And this isn't as simple as this, it's quite complex, but you need to remove all of that. You then have to use a heat gun or hair dryer to very carefully heat the glue off here. And then you use things like this, like these iPhone screen repair tools, to carefully sort of lever the rubber off so you can get access to this. And really it's very, very fiddly, so you kind of need things like tweezers, long sharp knives, so long sharp scissors, and even longer sharp scissors to better get to it. But once you then got these panels here, you can then mount them into the base, and then obviously feed the wiring through. And it's not that difficult, but it's very, very fiddly because obviously you have to do it very carefully, not get any marks on the shoes. When it comes down to the straps, what I would do is I got the Nike logo panels here from these guys, and basically just had to cut this out with a sharp knife, and then take it apart. Let's undo it here. So let's do this, and then basically feed the wiring through to that, and obviously back round here. That part. Now the next job I wanted to do was finally upgrade this. So this is actually quite a difficult thing to do. So again, you have to heat up this part here with a hairdryer to get access to this. And once you can carefully peel it back, again using the same tools, you then get access to the LEDs, which mount underneath there. So you can peel this back to, about here. You don't want to go obviously too much. Obviously you could take the whole thing off if you wanted to make life easier, but you kind of want to leave as much original glue in place as well, and there's a lot less chance of damage. So once you've removed this part here, you can basically cut this off. You then have to make a knife mark in the back here and all the way through to this side. That's where these come in really handy, and the tweezers, and then you can poke the rest of this part of the cable here, sort of around the back here, and then obviously through. So you want as much of this black part here, this piece here, inside on this side of the material, on this side of the plastic, and then obviously the flexible wire on the inside. So that's that. And I say these aren't as bright as the LEDs, but you can't run these LEDs using the same inverter, the same power supply, which is this, as the EL lighting, because these run as alternating currents, and these runs as direct currents. So you have to have two separate power units if you want to run LEDs plus ELs here and here. That's why, for the sake of £16, in a couple of hours work per shoe maximum, it's worth going for the EL ones on here. So these are the bits and bobs here that are removed out of one shoe. Now I also tried different power inverters. So this particular power inverter here, as you can see, is quite big. The original one here is 3 volts, and also it mounts underneath there, which is obviously very convenient in terms of it mounting underneath there, but it's just not very good. The battery doesn't last very long. It's reasonably bright, but of course this only powers the LEDs here, and originally the LEDs here. It's not really man enough to do the whole combination. So I tried this mini inverter, or micro inverter I think it's called, which is 1.5 volts, 1 AAA battery, and that does power everything, but it's relatively dim. So it's very cheap, and small, and then you probably could mount it underneath there in the sole, but I wouldn't bother with that one. Now I went for this one here. This one here takes 2 AA batteries, and these are dirt cheap. So all the parts I'm getting for these are coming from these guys here, via their eBay account, but they've also got a really good website. It says elwirecraft.co.uk. Now these particular ones here are called basic drivers for EL panels, and so they're 3 volts and they're £8 for the pair posted. And attached to this, you've got a 1:3 splitter, which a pair of them is £3.80 posted. Again, free post. Okay, so that's the details there of the parts. Get rid of that. Now obviously that's quite big, and you can't put that anywhere. But the plan for me personally is I use these for display. So I'll have them in the car. I can then get to this really conveniently. I can make sure that it's got make sure that the batteries are charged, or it's got new AA's in there. So when I go to a show and I have the car, the shoes, etc., I can put it on, tuck that in there, have it on display, and I know it works. And if the batteries go flat, I know I can change them conveniently. If I want to wear them, I can then simply tuck this into your sock. So you have a nice white tool sock on there. Obviously your standard jeans like you would do, Marty McFly, whatever, and you can just tuck that into your sock. Job done. So that's pretty sweet, I would say. Okay, right. So coming down to actually some fitting some of the parts. Now at the moment I've just fixed these, and these are about 95% done. I'm just in the process of getting around to doing this side, and then we're all good. But let's have a look at this one, and I'll show you the details before I basically seal this one up. So you've got your driver wire here, and as you can see, again, that's where I haven't finished yet, but I'll be stitching this up. So you can see I've got my driver wire coming down here, and then obviously going down at the base. Now I'll just put this in here loosely. I'll get this out so I can show you. Okay, so you have the I think it's the inner sole, and then this is the midsole, and underneath here. So this is where it's all at. So that stuff there is white silicone, just your standard silicone. So of course that is where this unit here is normally mounted. So you obviously have a nice square hole on these particular trainers. So what I've done is I put in my EL wiring connections into that hole, and then I thought, of course, I could put maybe a piece of metal over the top of this, or maybe a sort of really thin bit of wood or something. But I decided to make, as I want to make the shoe comfortable if I was to wear it, I decided to fill the hole with silicone, and then simply put a piece of plastic over the top. So I've got another piece here, literally just a piece of plastic, from something you buy at the supermarket. So that's underneath there. My wiring is, you can see the bit of green in the middle, that's sort of all cable tied, same as that. So ultimately, you can see that the wiring for the heel comes in where that black piece there is. So that's the end of this, and then that goes down underneath the silicone. And then you've also got the other two clear wires there, so those go down into the half moon panels as well, and then it comes back up again, and then it's back up here, and it comes out of here again, and then round to the tongue. So it's all kind of in there, and obviously this just pulls out, and so I had to solder the wires together. So I've got a bit of extra capacity. So if I want to pull this off for any reason, I've got a few extra inches of wire sort of tucked down there. And I use the same hole that I put the wiring from the base to the Nike logo to also feed in the power supply. So again, once I've checked this is all absolutely sweet, I will just glue that up like that, nice and neat. And then I can then put these pieces back down, like this, like that. And then obviously I'll just do something slightly neater in that piece up down there with a bit of glue or something to make it sweet. And then I'm really happy with that. So that means when I put my foot into the shoe, once that's glued there, it's not going to damage this or tear this or anything like that. It's going to be absolutely sweet. And I say then tuck that into the sock. That's it there. So yes, so in order to do all that, you definitely need, well, it's definitely recommended to have things like this. These sort of sharps, these good quality sharp scissors, so you can get sort of right down there. And then you can sort of cut holes and all that sort of stuff. It's much easier than using things like a knife or knives. Obviously you need things like torches, so you can put your torch right in there like that. And then you've got illumination, so when you're sort of in there and cutting and all that kind of thing, it makes life a lot easier. Things like pliers to sort of poke connections through holes, because if you don't want to make the holes too big, you want to make them just the right size, and then you can use things like this to poke them through. I even use a pipe cleaner to feed the pipe cleaner down from here and down to the bottom, attach my EL sort of wiring to it, and then gently pulled it back up through it, that kind of thing. Cable ties to neaten up the wire. Obviously these tools here, you definitely need these tools here. Again, dirt cheap. I mean, you can use things like little spoons and stuff, but you want little tools like this to gently leave this off, because you don't want to rip any of this. Same for this panel here. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. The glue that I use, now you could use super glue. Super glue obviously dries extremely quickly, really strong, all that sort of stuff. But personally, I would go for something like this, Loctite 60-second, because it means you can put it on, and then you can press it on. And if you need to move it around ever so slightly, which I did with these red, amber, green parts here, or red, orange, green, whatever, you do get like a minute maximum in order to move it around and adjust it slightly. And this dries super strong. Now I don't know how good this is in hot temperatures, and all that kind of thing, but it seems to be absolutely sweet. So I recommend that. Okay, and so just to have another quick look. Soldering aspect here. It's your soldering gun. soldering iron with all your various heat shrinks and all that on there. Now, when you buy that 1 to 3 connector, you obviously have a plug coming up here for the strap. And what I decided to do is I brought the plug up here, but I didn't really want to have a plug, a square plug, which is about a centimetre square, sort of around this section here. Whilst it's convenient, to unplug it, etc., or maybe poke it down there. But I thought, if I poke it in here, when I put my foot on, it would potentially sort of touch this and rub it and might, knock it off or something, or damage it or whatever. So I decided just to ultimately cut the plugs off and then solder the wires together. Double heat shrink them, easy, job done. Tuck that down there, and when you wear this shoe, that's absolutely sweet. So yeah, so that's kind of like the general gist. So you get an idea of, the 1.5 volt driver works, but not very bright. 3 volt much better. I also tried out the 9 volt driver from the same company. Again, it's like dirt cheap. Doesn't come with a switch. They do one with a switch, but they didn't have this in stock. So I thought, I'll try this one here, 9 volt. It is brighter, but it's not significantly brighter. So whilst this might come in handy, because it's the same plug. Effectively I can just unplug the 3 volt inverter, plug in this one, and you could run this. So you could run this, for example, up your trouser leg into your pocket, for example, that kind of gist, or into, wherever. But it's not significantly brighter, and also it possibly might even be overpowering for these here, because this is meant to run, much longer much more EL lighting, so it might even be a bit overpowered, so it may cause damage possibly. So that's that. Little review again of the pieces. So again, the USB, this effectively is all joined to this with a little switch, various different blocks and all that sort of stuff. And I say those are the LEDs, original LEDs, which, but like I mentioned, these aren't compatible with the ELs here and the ELs here. And obviously, if you want to have one inverter to power everything, like I do, then yeah, you need to get rid of that. So that's them there. You can see that nice and flat. So they're going like this. Obviously, that black piece there will go around the back there. Again, you want to be careful, because you want to make sure that when you sort of cut the holes for this, it's nice and sort of straight around. It's not bent up at an angle, because obviously you want it to be nice and straight, so when you put your foot in the shoe, there's no chance of you sort of damaging or breaking any of this. All this feels solid, you don't want to damage it. So I've got my panels in there, got them in there, and I say basically, and this is actually some more original shoes, so you can see I've still got the switch in there, because I haven't cut it out yet. If I can get my hands in there. Sort of still see the original wiring, etc., is underneath there. So yeah, but once you sort of tuck all of this stuff here into here, and remove the strap, you can get your hand in there. But that's why you definitely need a selection of these tools. So there we go. So anyway, I hope that's of use. And I say I'm not affiliated with these companies, but these are really good. So elwirecraft.co.uk. There's some parts there, cheap. And Etsy for ultimately all the EL parts from Etsy. If your trainers, if your night mags haven't got the straps, because I know some of the blatant replicas don't have straps. There was a guy on Etsy as well who's selling straps, but I think they're all black. But you never know, you might be able to email them, get them to make them in white. But I guess it depends if you get things like this or not. But the straps do make the shoe, But if you haven't got the straps, fair play, work with what you got, which is these 2 bits here. So yeah, a bit of cutting about, but with the right tools, it's all doable. If you can solder, that definitely helps in terms of neatening it up. But if you can't solder, you don't want to buy a soldering iron, then you can just poke the wire through here and connect it up, and sort of attach it on or whatever. Cool, there you go. So I shall progress now with this shoe. And I say I'm on this stage here, so I can cut out the LEDs, cut the holes in there, and then start to replicate what I've done on this one, Cool, nice one, cheers.